My name is Daniel Young, and I appreciate you watching this video for my insight presentation for the first one for a Management 100. So to begin, the Pacific Coast Oil Company started in 1876 with a kind of around the 1860s with the what they call black gold kind of began in California, which the Pacific Coast Oil Company, what we know today as Chevron, is obviously doing quite well. Been around for a long time. Obviously, September 10th, 1879 is technically when the company started. It's changed its name throughout, one of the founders, they have their spirit, grit, innovation, and perseverance is like one of the main things that they have on their website, and their attempt to invest in alternative ways of gathering energy, and they're trying their best to work with environmentalists and do what they can throughout their history. So, one important factor in one of the recent articles I read this past week is that Trump moves towards repealing Obama EPA water rule. A lot of Republicans or conservatives will tell you that the Obama EPA water rule is very too broad in the sense that what they like to say would basically cover small puddles that people couldn't use water for. So a lot of the Trump wants to, from this article, there's lots of different opinions out there, but from this individual article, will tell you that they want to limit it to navigable waterways, large waterways that can be used for drinking water and so on. So, and used to ships and everything. So they want to kind of limit it to that, so it's not as broad, and so kind of less regulation, so to say, for oil companies and energy to kind of move forward, which a lot of will be good for a lot of oil companies, because if they have less regulation, there's differing opinions out there, but less regulation is always, businesses like less regulation, whether you're a conservative or liberal. Businesses like regulation, so that would be good for Chevron if that goes through. A couple things I want to hit on here. So with the stock trading, recently in my readings, I found a lot of differing opinions with stocks trading for Chevron. It's hard to tell whether it's really going up or really going down, because there's a ton of different opinions. In the same exact day, I can find articles that say, yeah, it's going up, it's going great, and some will say sell. So you never know. One of the main points that I want to get at is chapter 20 of Thinking Fast and Slow. That when stocks are really anything, there's always a buyer and there is always a seller of every item. So what in the stock market, it's kind of what one person gains, another person will lose, because the price will either go up or will go down. So someone is going to lose that bet, whether they like it or not. So I always have to kind of ask myself, I'm going to buy something, why is this person trying to sell it to me? And if they don't want it, why should I want it? So kind of something to think about. So it's so obviously stock trading is not unique to just Chevron. It's it's for all types of companies and all type of industries. But it's just I relate it to a lot of the reading, because it's specifically in the decision-making side of it is important in such a large commodity type thing like oil in Chevron, because their decisions can affect the entire economy. Oil is very important, and without it, we'd all not be having the lifestyles that we have. So, so since the articles I've read have been so variable, it's unlikely that Chevron will go out of business, right? They're doing just fine. We all know that. But, the stock price can vary. Recently, it's been variable in the low 100s. So it's, hasn't really been drastic each and every week, but it's gone up and down. But the stock really does show how the business is doing, and whether the stock price is high or low kind of reflects how the stockholders have the opinions of the company. So, and the decisions that the company makes. So the company has to be very they need to think about their decisions in terms of how to make the stockholders happy, because they want people to invest. So, which kind of relates how they get their information and how they make their decisions, because in that same book we talk about the experts, how they can differ in their opinion. If they look at the same information twice, they can have a different opinion. So it's very important to kind of see where they get their information. Is it intuition or is it statistical analysis? I believe it's a little bit of both that it should be, because it's important in these interpretations of information and everything shouldn't be just a gut feeling, so to say, because they can be so important. So in chapter 21 of that same book, it does talk about the idea of intuition versus formulas, explaining kind of how the experts are not always as reliable as one may think they are. Basically, because what I said earlier, that they can change their opinion based on looking at even the same information twice, as the text explains. So it's kind of an important thought that we kind of have to take their information, their even experts' information, with a little bit of a grain of salt. So many more articles will state that it's not always an option to limit dividends, but this is one way that Chevron has thought or considered of decreasing their costs. Chevron recently has been really big on cutting back on costs, kind of, I guess, attempting to get back to a low-cost strategy, so to say. There's lots of different opinions, but that's kind of one of their goals at this point. But with that decision, if they decided to do that, it has to be more than just a gut instinct or intuition, because once they cut those dividends, it might be difficult to come back from that, because once you upset all those stockholders, it could be pretty bad. They could get upset about that. So chapter 12 of Predictably Irrational kind of explains this cycle of distrust. It's kind of interesting that it doesn't always apply to the oil companies, because the end consumer has to buy, a form of what oil is made into, because, well, we have to use our cars, our electricity, and, our lifestyle kind of depends on it. So we don't really have many choices in that. So our distrust of Chevron may grow, but we'll end up just buying gas from one of their competitors either way. So are very similar and do the exact same thing. So it's not really going to matter as much. So obviously Chevron has a lot of competitors in OPEC, and Exxon is one of the more not local but nationally known companies. Decision making is really important in Chevron in this industry, as it can be highly regulated, and it can affect the economy as a whole, and so it's important. One thing with Chevron that it's important that in any company or industry, it's important that someone is always over someone else, so someone has someone to answer to. If you have no one to answer to, then it's, decision making can kind of go downhill from there. So I do appreciate you listening to this presentation of Chevron. So that was my first one of this semester, and I again appreciate listening, and thank you.